Music theory with Microsoft Excel. 12 color sets of 7 notes, this time adding the third dimension, octave variation, meaning we're still using the same 12 hues or colors for the 12 notes in the musical alphabet, but adding the third dimension to represent octave variation using the tool of lightness, not brightness, mind you, lightness. They're different. So get ready and some coffee, because you ain't never seen rockin' unless you excel at rockin'. And yes, you need Microsoft Excel if you want to excel. We are in Excel. If you don't have access to this workbook, that's okay, because we basically built this from a blank worksheet, but started in a prior presentation. So if you want to build this entire worksheet from a blank sheet, you could begin back there, or just build the part of the worksheet that we're currently working on. If you do have access to this workbook, though, 5 tabs down below, including the hex tab, having the 360 color wheel, giving us the hex numbers for them. The fretboard tab, having a simulated fretboard we will refer to. I know it's very colorful. We'll explain why shortly. The example tab, which has, in essence, the answer key. The practice tab, having pre-formatted cells, so you could practice the practice problem with less Excel formatting. And then we have the blank tab, where we started with a blank worksheet and will be continuing to work, in essence, in the blank part of the worksheet, practicing not only our music skills, but Excel formatting skills as well, for formatting's sake. Let's go on over to the fretboard tab to get a reminder of what we would like to do. We want to be able to use color in a very functional, practical type of way to map out the information on the fretboard, which a lot of people, I think, really don't do. They just kind of say, I'm just going to stick with the black and white stuff. They might say, hey, look, you're making a gay spreadsheet. And it's like, hey, you did not just use that as a pejorative. And even if it's not gay, that's even if it's not, but it's not gay. Look, there's a tool. This is a tool because we're trying to assign a color to each of the notes in the musical alphabet in a more formal type of way, to help with our association, to be able to see all of the shapes in multiple different ways. So in order to do that, we mapped out the colors for each of the notes, of which there are 12. So now we can be able to associate a color, a particular color, to every note within the musical alphabet. And we can also simulate the distance between the colors as a simulation of the distance between the notes, and start to visualize those distances. We can also say, hey, look, I don't want to use a different color for every note. Maybe we want a color set that will be tied to the nodes, like the Ionian node, the Dorian node, and so on and so forth. And to do that, we can, like the natural number system does, use an absolute color system, typically based on the Ionian mode of the C major scale, so that then when I go from the key of C and the related modes to the key of D to the key of E, all of the colors will move up in a parallel format. That's great. What we're missing, however, is depth, because when I have one color for each of the notes, this C is actually different than this C. So I might want to focus in on having the different octaves. That's going to be quite important, particularly on the guitar, something many people don't really understand as much as on the piano, because there's repeat notes on the guitar. So to do that, we'll still have the same 12 notes. We're not going to add any colors, but we will add the dimension of lightness, which is kind of similar to brightness. They're actually two different things. Technically, we're going to use lightness, not brightness. But with language, you might use them kind of interchangeably. It's going to get lighter or brighter and darker or closer to black to represent the depth, even though the hue is the same. That's how we can add the added dimension. So to do that, then the fretboard will look more something like this. Now, again, the colors are not quite right over here because of that thing we talked about before with the red here. But the idea would be, if the C was red and we go up to here, it's a different red and it's a different red. Now remember, even if you look at this, if you're like me and you work with spreadsheets, and your partners would make fun of you if you had a spreadsheet this colorful. But it's like, there's a meaning. You need a black and white spreadsheet. Or if you're in the music world and you're working in classical music, you need an 18th century black and white thing that was on papyrus or something, right? That's if you're working with anything else. But no, Excel is actually the best tool, I think, for music theory, even though, again, I know that's not possibly popular in music departments, but it really should be, I feel like. And color is important, right? Color's not, it's not political. The color has a function. It's useful. It's useful to have the color, okay? So we have to recognize that, and now we can use so all of this. I think a lot of things could change on the normal music thing, right? We have the top string on top instead of flipping the fretboard around. We use Excel because Excel is a perfect simulation of the fretboard. We visualize the thing as though it's moving up and down on a spreadsheet because it basically is. And we use color to simulate the pitch wheel. Would all make, again, just from a teaching standpoint, perfect sense. Like, not doing that to me is like, I see no reason not to. Okay, let's do it. Let's go to the blank tab. Okay, so what we did in prior presentations is we mapped out the musical alphabet, we labeled it and numbered it 1 to 12. That's what I'm going to call the local distance, the local numbering, which is going to give us our A through G. Now, we have this issue of the octaves that we talked about in a prior presentation because historically they did weird things with the piano, meaning we started to measure at 440, which is an A from a Hertz standpoint, to G, but then they labeled the octaves starting on the C upwards. And then they labeled the octaves with a 4 for middle C because they didn't want to go into negative numbers, right? Which is weird. So all of that is weird. I'm going to do it the way that I think is logical with the colors, but we have to keep into consideration the numbering system and how things are going to be written on the piano. So I would like to say, if we were starting this from scratch, the 1 through 12 should be the octave of 0, not 4, starting at 440 hertz. That would be the logical thing to do because it's symmetrical. Notice that, again, some other systems don't do that, like a mini system, which uses math behind to try to program the thing. It's also not quite logical from a music standpoint. It's logical from just a math standpoint, but you would like 1 through 12 to represent the middle octave that we play in most of the time, which I would like to represent not with a 4, middle, the C4, but I'd like to represent it with the middle, 0 of the spectrum. Now, I don't think it'll take a long time before you can like change the terminology to be 0 instead of C4, but I think that just helps theory-wise to kind of think about it. And then color-wise, I'm gonna make this 1 through 12 what I would call the local distance, the local octave, our normal color set, which has 0.5 lightness, or the most poppy colors that it can have. And then when we go down, we'll take the lightness down, and when we go up, we'll take the lightness up. All right, that's the idea. So we then took that information and we made our color sets. Now, again, I know this is too colorful for a lot of people. Like, they'll just turn the TV off. They'll think it's political. You made some kind of Excel political flag here, and it's like, no, look, you you only need to look at at one set of these, because this is a crayon box, which has a lot of colors in it, right? So you look at one set of these colors, at a time, and when you map it on the fretboard, you might only be picking like 3 of these colors that you want to look at because you're focusing in on like the 1, 3, 5, or whatever you want to be messing with, right? So this is going to be all the colors within a crayon box is going to have 7 colors, and then we have 12 sets of those 7 colors. Now, the analogy of painting or of color is great, but it's not the same thing as painting a picture, because painting a picture, you're looking for the colors that kind of go together, possibly, that are in the same area or something. I'm not like an expert on that, but when you're doing music, we're looking for the colors oftentimes that are furthest away from each other to play them together, because they're going to be the most harmonious. The colors on the other side of the circle that are within our scale are typically the ones that are more harmonious, is going to be the general idea. Okay, so now we're going to build this table out again to add the 2 octaves in the lower pitch direction and 2 octaves in the upper pitch direction. To do that, I'm going to copy the whole thing. I'm just going to go from this skinny over to here, and I'm going to copy that, and we're just going to redo it over here. So I'm going to copy this whole thing, and that's going to be our starting point. The skinny, so we did it in number. Now the headers are wrong, so I'm going to say the headers are going to be equal to, actually, do I need, yeah, I guess we do. I'm going to say the headers are equal to that. And then let's pull this header over. Let's do this one. It's going to be equal to that. And then I'll pull these headers over. And so there's going to be our starting point. So I have to do it with the numbers first, because that'll help me to map on the actual letters on top of that. So that's going to be the general idea. So let's go the easier direction. And let's say, what if we want the numbers to keep on going up? Pitch-wise going up, we're going to go down like closer to the floor if it was a fretboard like on the guitar, which is pitch-wise going up. Okay. Okay, so let's redo this. I'm gonna remove this, and let's redo our formulas. So we've got, and that messes all my formatting up over here. I'm not worried about that right now. We'll deal with that later. But right now we're gonna say that I'm gonna start with a 1, which is an A. So let's just type in a 1. Is going to be an A, and then this is my formula, whole, half, whole, half that we saw last time. So from a number standpoint, if that 1 is an A, it's going to be the 1 plus 2. And so that's going to give me a 3, and I'm going to copy that down. And that looks like it does what I want it to do. Now, note that if I go over 12, there's only 12 notes in the musical alphabet. So then last time I had to do this formula to say if it goes over 12, bring it back down to 12. Make it go around in a circle. I don't need to do that this time because I'm going to imagine an absolute number system starting in the middle at A, 440 hertz being our number 1. And then as I go up, it's going to keep on going up. So the formula is actually easier as we go up through the multiple octaves. So but I also want to copy it to the right. So I'm going to say to the right, I'm going to say this is this plus 1, and I can copy this out to the right, boom, and then there it is. And then if I look at this one, when I copy this to the right, I don't want the formula to move to the right. So that means this AX2, I need to put an absolute reference before the AX, because I don't want it to move to the right. I do want it to move down. So I need to put a $sign. That's what we call a mixed reference, not an absolute reference. And so that means if I copy it down, let's double check it. I'm going to delete this to double check to see if it messes anything up there. That looks good, I think. Let's copy it to the right now and see if that looks right. It's easiest to check like the C because we might know those numbers the best. So we have then a 4, which is a C, to a 6, which is a D, to an 8, which is an F, a 9, an E, I'm sorry, and then a 9 is an F, 11 is a G, and 13. So now 13 minus 12 is 1, which is an A, and then 15 minus 12, right? So that's how we're going to basically see this. Now notice over here, we've repopulated this because I have this format or this formula pulling it in, which we saw in the prior presentation. We'll talk about that formula more shortly, but it's not populating over here. What happened? Those are the numbers that are going above 12. So now we have to deal with the absolute number system that it doesn't only have 12 numbers. It's going to go from 1A being 1, middle A, what I'm calling middle A would be an A3 from a normal standpoint, and then going up 2 octaves from the A to the G, 2 octaves up after, and then going back 2 octaves. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so that means then I'm going to grab this whole thing. Oh no, let's keep going down. So now we're going to keep it going down. So I'm going to copy the formula. This is going to equal to 2. The formula is going to repeat going down. And I can just repeat the formula. I'm going to copy this down like 2 times. So then it goes whole, half, whole, half. Let's make this a different color. I'll make it like dark blue maybe. We'll make it this blue. And then white. And maybe I'll border it too. And let's border it. Okay, and then we've got a whole, half, whole, half again. And this is going to be black. Let's make this black and white. We'll make it black and white. Okay, so then I can just copy these down. I can copy all of these down, and it should just populate. Boom. So now we're going above here. So that 13 minus 12 is 1, which is an A. So numerically, it's actually easier. We have a pretty easy formula that allows us to populate this whole thing numerically. Now, I'd also like to go above it, however. So I'm going to call this the middle bit. I'm going to make that, in this side, I'm going to make it orange. That's what I call the middle. So the middle octave, for the most part. And then we're going to say, and then from here, we're going to go up an octave in pitch direction. I'm going to make that a blue. If you don't have this, this is the blue right there that I like to use. And that blue doesn't mean anything from a pitch standpoint. I'm just trying to have colors. And then this is going to be green. So orange is in the middle, and then I'm just going back and forth between green and blue. And then I'm going to go above it, because I have to go above it, which is going to be lower in pitch, kind of like on a guitar. So I'm going to go down 2 sessions, like right down to there. I need to go all the way across, because this I'm going to need to do the same thing over here too. So I'm going to go down to here and right-click and insert. Insert. Boom. Shift the cells down. Okay. And then we'll grab this one and format this across so it has normal formatting to start with. Okay. So now I've got to copy this upwards. All right. So the formula is going to be the same. It's going to be equal to this one, because if it ended here, it's going to loop back around to here. So I can copy that and pull it up. So if I look at it like, let's pull it all the way up to here. Is that too far? So if I look at it vertically, how we're used to seeing it would be whole, half, whole, half, back to the whole again. So let's make this dark blue, just to alternate the color scheme. Dark blue. And then this one would be whole, half, whole, half. This one shouldn't be dark blue right there. Let's make that one black. This one would be whole, half, whole, half. Let's make this one black and white. And then that's all we need. I don't need this bit. So I'm going to delete up here. Let's delete this stuff. I got to go all the way on this side too, because now I can't tell how far. We got to go down to 8. Down to 8. Delete those and shift them up. Delete, shift up, boom. Okay. Okay. So now going up, if that's an A, 1 is an A, then I'm going in the negative. I'm going up 1. I'm going to say it's going to be this minus. This minus this. So that means going backwards, I get to a 0, which looks like a little wonky. I'm going to copy that back. I'm going to copy that up. So now we're copying the formula backwards. Now remember, a lot of people, even if you use a number system, you see it makes sense going 1 to 12. But when I go in the negative direction, using an absolute number system, it's going to go back to 0 in the negative numbers. It would actually be useful to learn that absolute number system, because then you can use some simple math when you're working and stuff. Notice that some software, they start their number system way back at like 0 hertz or something, and then they count up from there. That's not practical from a teaching standpoint. You should have, the middle should be here. That makes sense. 1 through 12 starting at 440. And that means you're going to go negative in the negative direction, right? Otherwise, if you used what computers do, you're not going to have 1 through 12. It's going to be something like 55 or something like weird will be up here. Okay, so then once again, I don't want this AX to move to the right. So I'm going to put a $sign making it a mixed reference, and then I'm going to double check it going up and see if this makes sense. So I'm going to say going up this way. Does that work? Funciona. See. So this is going up. All right, so let's copy that across now and see if that works. I'm going to copy this way to do. And so does that work? Yeah, I think that's working. If I look at a 4 represents a C, -1 gets me to a 3, which represents a B, which makes sense. And then -2 is a 1, which is going to be an A. I think it's working. Okay, so let's make this one, I'm going to make this blue. I'm just saying the orange is in the middle and then blue on either side just to alternate. This is going to be the light blue. And then I'm going to put green above it just to alternate between blue and green so I can have a differentiation between those areas. All right. Now let's do the formula over here. Now the formula is not quite working, and let me show you why. So I'm going to hide over here. So we're going to pull the formula from this information over here. So let's go ahead and hide. Wait a sec. I've got to pull it from this information where I have the absolute distance in notes. I need these for the absolute distance in notes. Sorry, I got hiccups. So I'm going to say, let's hide from here, and then we'll hide to here. And right click and hide that stuff. So now I'm going to pull this information in. So I'm going to look up in the orange area where we have the normal numbers. You can see it's the same, but when I go up here, that's when the absolute numbers are different than the local numbers. And so I'm going to look there, and then I want to pull in the C and then this dot. So let's do that one at a time again, just so you can see how it works, how these formulas work. So I want to be like in this A1, let's try to recreate that this time. I'm going to say this equals, it equals the 1. I'm going to pull this 1 over, and let's just do it piece by piece. And then I'm going to add to it, let's do it in another cell, equals X lookup. I want you to find that 1, because I'm going to be doing it in this cell. I want you to find that 1. Where do you want it to find it? I want you to find it in, not in this anymore, that would be the local distance. I want you to find it here in the absolute distance, which is still going to pull in that 1 right there, right? So I messed up my thing. Going from here down to here, that's the range. I want you to look at it in that range, comma, and then I want you to return to me this letter right here. So the letter, you can see the whole range down here. So that would be the letter, which is going to be the same for each of them. So I'm going to say boom. So okay, and that returns an A. And I also want that shape. So I'm going to do the same thing, equals X lookup, and then I want you to look at that 1 again, comma, and find that once again in this same area, Control Shift down, comma, and then return to me this time this shape, because I want to see the shapes as well. And I'll say enter. So those are going to be the 3 bits. Now I'm going to delete this. Now the formatting's already there for the 12 notes, so that's what's cool about it. I have the conditional formatting, but I'm going to delete the formula and then add this back in, and the formatting should reappear once I do this. So I'm going to say, and I'll show you how to do the formatting in a second. So I'm going to say, let's just put this piece one at a time. Copy that. Whoops. No, I undid. I'm going to copy that, enter, and then paste it here. Boom. There's the 1. Then I'm going to go into here. I'm going to copy this whole thing, not including the equal sign. Enter. Go into here and tie it to the end of this with an and. Paste. There's my X lookup 1A. Then I want to paste this in there. Then I'm just going to copy this whole bit. Copy that. See how you can tie these things together? Enter. Double click here and just put an and. and then boom. And then it turned red because the conditional formatting is on it. All right, so that looks cool. That's what we want. So if I go into here, then I don't want these to change. So I'm going to F4 here, F4, 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 F4. That means the ranges, I'm not going to change the ranges. So the first bit is always the same. So that means I'm not changing, if I hit this thing, these ranges are staying the same. What is changing, what isn't absolute is this number. That number is going to change in proportion as I go through, but it's going to pull from the same ranges. All right. So hopefully I got that right. Let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to copy it down to here, and then I'm going to copy it across this way. So we've recreated that bit, and once again the colors work, but not down here, because why? The numbers aren't working anymore. Right now, there's a couple ways I could kind of fix this. I could say, you know, if I try to restrict the conditional formatting to just look at A and the dot, it'll pull in all the colors. But I don't want to do that, because I want this A to be a lighter color than this A. See? So now what I'm going to do is I can copy this whole thing down. And I should have then my octaves going this way, and the conditional formatting should be still here. It doesn't apply here. We're past my 2 octaves. So I'm just going to delete these. Just trim those down for my table, my beautiful table. This is a lovely table. It's gay. It's not gay. Okay, you're using it as it's not political. It's even if it's lovely table. Okay. We're gonna say, so now notice that this A, we have some conditional formatting issues here, right? Because this A is red. I didn't want this one to turn red. Why did it turn red? Because the conditional formatting here, I said, contains a 1A0 or 1A and a dot. Now, I know I'm getting in the weeds on the conditional formatting, but we're going to use this conditional formatting when we build the fretboard over here later. So I just want to touch in on why that's the case. You might not care. You might just be, you know, but like over here, what I want to do is possibly add more than just the note number, because I might want to add like the nodes. Is it Ionian node? Or I might want to add the intervals, like the modal half steps, or the intervals. So that means I want it to contain that, but not only have it and make it turn red. So if it has, in this case, if it had a C, I want it to turn red. So I need a conditional formatting to do that, because the absolute formatting will be too restrictive. But then if you start to look at this, you're saying, well, yeah, but now the conditional formatting doesn't work because the red got applied here and it got applied here. How can I fix that? And the way we can fix that is to say there's an order of operations for the conditional formatting. So the way we want to do the conditional formatting is first apply it going upwards. So starting this way and going upwards. And that means that if I see an A1 here and then I had an A13 down here, it might have made those the same color. It would have made it red. But then once I do the conditional formatting on this one, it will replace that one, right? It didn't actually turn it red because you would think it would, but if it did, it would replace that one. And then go up, adding the conditional formattings one at a time going this way, so that this conditional formatting, once we add it, will override this one, right? So this one will no longer be this red, it'll be a lighter red. All right, let me show you what I mean. But you can see the conditional formatting is across the whole thing. So now I won't conditional format the whole thing because it'll be too tedious, but we have the example tab over here to show you the end result, right? This is what we want right here. Look, it's too colorful. It's like a bag of Skittles. but see, we only, so this is what we want, right? So this is going to give us all the information we need to then populate on the fretboard. So we can populate it on the fretboard with the conditional formatting. So I'll show you how to, so also just note when we do the conditional formatting, then if you do a whole lot of conditional formatting, it can actually slow down the worksheet. And I mean a whole lot, like I'll show you later when we get into intervals and making colors for all the intervals, like the combination colors, which means we're going to need more colors than our 12 colors because we're going to take the log average or average of two notes and stuff. Then that could weigh down your worksheet. So you got to be a little bit careful, just something to keep in mind. I wish they had a better way to do the conditional formatting. It's a little bit tedious, but that's what it is, what it is. So if you're a computer programmer, there's probably and you know how to program, then you could probably figure out a better way to do this if you had a database or something. But in any case, this works. So let's check it out, and it's transparent. Excel is great. Okay, so to do this, just to show you how we would add the rest of the colors, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to copy this color scheme. These are all the colors that I want to add with my conditional format, and I'm going to copy those. I'm going to paste it onto another worksheet, pasting it 1, 2, 3, and then pasting the formulas, or I'm sorry, pasting the formatting. And then I'm going to remove the local distance. That's not useful to me. I'm going to the old octaves and the new octaves maybe, and old batch, new, old both, new both. Okay, maybe I won't delete those. I'm just gonna hide this. I don't think I need this. I'm gonna hide this, and then I'll hide, I don't think I need any of this. I'm just gonna hide all that, and then I'll make this large, and then I want to pull this on this side, so it's on the side over here. Okay, and then and then I'm gonna make, and then so here I'm gonna go back on over here and select this whole thing because I want the conditional formatting on the whole thing, not just on one cell, because I'm simulating the process we will use when we make this into our fretboard, practicing how this conditional formatting works, which is more tedious than you'd think at first, but then it's not too bad. So now what I want to do is continue going up first. So right, we started, it looks like it's all chaotic, but we stopped at 12. So I want to go 13, 14, right? And then these will populate, and then 15, 16. So just to show, I won't do all of them, but I'll just show you. So we left off after the orange here. So I'm going to continue on this one. This is a 13A. So I'm just going to copy this thing. That's the code to make it that lighter color. And I'm going to go boom, boom. Conditional formatting, not equal to, but contains. It contains that, which is a 13A. Dropping it down, format the color, fill, more colors, dune, and then boom, 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 boom. So now we have the lighter A. There's the A up here. Here's the lighter A. Same hue. We didn't change the hue. We changed the lightness, not the brightness. It's different. The lightness. Okay. So then I'm going to copy this one, and this will be the 14AB or A sharp B flat. Dropping it down and having it contain. Are you really going to do this for the whole thing? Maybe not, but I did before, because I can, once you get it down, you can watch TV, you can watch, the news and have it drive you crazy and still be able to do it. That's how good I am at it. 15B. I can watch the news and get all pissed off and still do it. I could do this with, oh man, no, I messed up. I can do this with one hand tied behind my back, my 2 feet tied behind my buttocks, and then my other hand, maybe not, my other hand picking my nose That's how good I want to know it. My other hand's picking my nose so that I only have my pinky. And I could still do this. That's how good I am at it. That's how I want to get to, at least. I'm not there yet. Okay, so let's go back down. This was a 15B. Okay. And then we're going to go this one. Contains that. Hit that. Boom. More colors. Bam. And then enter. Okay. Boom. 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 And then this one. This is the 16C. So we're going to say format paint it. Contains that. Boom. 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 See how tedious this is? There's got to be a better way. But there's not a better way in Excel, I don't think. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like, I love Excel, but you kind of let me down on this one. I got to say, this cannot be the most efficient way to do it. But that's okay. That's okay. I'll deal with it. Deal with it. I mean, look at all the clicking. How many clicks is that? Oh. Why, Excel, do you not have someone on this making this better? Look at this. My clicking finger is like getting a workout. My clicking finger is bigger than Hulk Hogan's forearm, for crying out loud. Hulk Hogan's dead. I can't believe that. Hogan is dead? No way. Nothing can kill the Hulk. I don't buy it. Alright. We're gonna say, let's do the next one. And next one. Look at this. I mean, it's not like I don't even really mind doing it, except that it shouldn't be this difficult. Like, that's what bothers me. It's the disappointment. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that you haven't made this better. We're gonna get Excel. You're gonna get beaten out by Google. The Chinese are gonna beat you. You have to get in your game. This is ridiculous. Shouldn't have to go through this many clicks. It's unbelievable. Oh, that's okay. It's almost as annoying as the news. Crying out loud. I get, even though I don't know. Let's see. All right. Anyways, that's going to be the idea. So we go through all these. I wanted to go through them until I get to up here. You want to do all these first, and then go up here and do the ones above it. But just to show you, like this one right here is a -6. A -6 would be this one. So once I fix this, if I do it in the proper order, then I can go boom, and I can do formatting to that one, and then format paint, boom, 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 boom. And now it's the proper. Now, if I did this one first and then this one, it would be messed up. So if your order gets messed up, you can go in here and you can make this larger. And if I want to change the order, I can pull this one down by using this to pull it down below the other one. That's how you can change the order of them after you already have the conditional formatting on this. Now, you can see the pros and cons of this system. It's cool because you can now map this onto something like your Excel, but it's harder to delete and focus in on just one octave because you have to go in there and delete this. So from a practical standpoint, if I go onto my fretboard, like the old fretboard that we had over here, If I'm like, this is too colorful, I want to focus in on just a few of these notes, it's pretty easy to do because I can just grab this whole thing and then I can go in here and say manage, and I can delete the ones that I don't want to deal with. So I can so if I just want to focus on the red or whatever, I can delete this one. There's only 7 of them, and it's like, this is too colorful. I need to remove some of them, and then boom, you can remove. Now you only have the ones that you want to deal with. And you're like, that's okay. That's no longer political. It's okay now. Now I can work in it. It's not smacking me in the face. Okay. And then if I want to bring it back, I can bring it back. I should hide all that by going here. And then I can bring it, and then I can take the conditional formatting and put it back on there. Here. And then it'll go back. So that's great. Now it's back, so I don't lose anything. But this one, I have too many things. Right now it's like, if I want to focus on just a few of them, I have to get all crazy with the managing of the rules and figure out which ones to delete, and the colors are similar and so on. So it's a little bit more difficult to manage, to like remove the colors you don't want, but not too bad. That's the pros and cons of using the conditional formatting here. So I could still conditional format the whole thing, but then there's a bunch of colors. So when I want to zero down on what I want to focus in on, I have to spend a little bit more time to do that. You know, those are just the pros and cons of it, but it's not too bad. It's pretty cool to do. And then I can always, again, put the conditional formatting back on it. So I won't go through all of them here, but it's not too bad to do that. It gives you some practice for the conditional formatting. And then this is the end result that we basically want to see. And like I say, analyzing this in and of itself is too much. But if you hide any of these, right? If I just want to focus in on the C, and I like hide this and go, okay, now I can kind of say, okay, let me look at this one bit at a time, right? There's the C. I can see the octaves up, and I can see the relationship between them. And then mapping it on the fretboard can be, of course, quite practical. All right, so I'm going to unhide everything and right-click and unhide and go over here. And then I'm going to unhide everything over here too, just to finish this off. So we'll right-click and unhide. Boom. And so there we have it. It's incomplete. It's okay. You have to finish. I don't need to finish it. It's fine because you have the practice thing.